Hi, and welcome to the next video in a series of videos that we are doing on the books that we have in our collection. We have a collection between 300 and 400 books. Most deal with family genealogies, but many deal with local history, and some deal with history of organizations. So the first one we're going to be talking about tonight is names of those buried in the Union Cemetery at Middle Island, Long Island, New York. This book was published by the Union Cemetery Association in 1970. It is a wonderful little resource. A lot of information, gives the name, the year the person died, where they're buried, and the age when they died. It also does come with a map of the cemetery for you. This is a great little resource because, as we know, headstones can be removed, they can be lost, they can be stolen, they can be buried underground. It's always changing. They can be weathered and unreadable. So this is a great resource if you think you have anyone who was buried there. It may give you some information that perhaps you are unable to attain anywhere else. So that's a great little book. The next one is A History of Longwood, A History by Gene C. Lauer. This was published by the Brookhaven Town Historical Advisory Committee. And this was published in 1984. It says revised and reprinted. Actually, the first printing in 1980 by the town of Brookhaven. So this one has pictures, and it goes into a history of the town. Books like this on the history of towns are really great because if your ancestor was from there, it can give you some insight into what their life would have been like when they lived in the town. Places that they would have shopped, how they would have gotten their food, maybe where they went to church, where they went to school, all sorts of things to make the person more real. Genealogy, of course, is not just the study of dates and names. We like to put some context to our ancestors and make them whole. So that's a great little book if you're researching Longwood or you have family from Longwood. The next two are about Wading River. This one was written and published in 1955 by Evelyn Rowley Meir under the auspices of the Wading River Historical Society. And this is a great little book. It gives a lot of information about the town and what life was like in the town throughout the different eras. So if you're researching Wading River, your family from Wading River, maybe they talk about you in here, your family. But they certainly give you insight into what life would have been like for any of the persons living in Wading River when it was founded. This book came out in 1971, so it's from 1671 to 1971. Wading River, it is celebrating their 300th anniversary of being a town. This book is great because it has names of the people who were on the committee. It also has a photograph of the committee that was responsible for the 300th anniversary and all events. This one thing has photographs as well as a lot of information with the history of the town. It does have a map. Looks like the same map as in the 1955 book. And it tells you all about different houses, historic houses in the area. And then it also does include in there the list of events that they did at the time in 1971 to celebrate their 300th year. And then it has a lot more photographs in the back. And the back is great because it lists the sponsors for the book and for the different events. And now it becomes its own history book, because perhaps some of these businesses over the last 50 years are no longer in business. So now it becomes a record of businesses that were in the area. So this book could be of interest on many different levels. So those are the two about Wading River. Last one that we're going to discuss in this video is Historic Houses of the North Fork and Shelter Island, text and sketches by Joy Bear. This is a great book. This book came out in, I believe this was like 1981. Yep, 1981. And this is a wonderful little book. It has a sketch of the house, and then it discusses about the history of the house. So again, maybe an ancestor's in here, if their house was still standing at the time they were doing this book. To also be of interest for those who like local history, or if you like architecture through the ages, might have some examples. If you're studying architecture, might have some good examples of different houses. So maybe some of these houses are not still standing today. So another great resource on many levels for someone who's studying local history or history of their families in the area. We hope this has been informative and educational about books that are out there to help you in your research. And as always, happy searching.